Happy Friday. It's hotter than the devil's toenails outside. We know that. But today isn't about the weather. It is about appreciation. Y'all know that old Nat King Cole song, Love. L is for the way you look at me. You know that one. Every time I hear that line, I can't help but think about dogs. Nobody looks at us quite the way a dog does. Whether you've had the worst day of your life or the best one, they look at you like you pulled the sun up in the morning with your bare hands. And that kind of appreciation deserves to be returned. The other day, I was working with Victoria. She was getting picked up by her dad, and she's become known for a lot of things over the course of her training. She's overcome fear, and she's learned to trust, and she's learned to navigate the world a little bit more peacefully. But Victoria has this one thing that hasn't changed over the course of her training. The moment the muzzle comes off, she's headed straight for the grass. The good smelling kind, too. She throws herself on the ground and she rolls and, she sprawls out. And her dad looked at me and was like, "Have you ever seen a dog roll in the grass this much?" And I have. Actually, I have. I've trained quite a few grass lovers over the years. Some are unfortunately white dogs whose names, unfortunately, I'm beginning to forget. Not because they weren't great dogs, but because over the years, so many have come through my program, graduated, and gone on to live their lives. And that realization made me a little sad because they just aren't around long enough. And I don't mean for training, I'm talking about their life. At the peak of training, we spend so much time asking our dogs for things like heel, sit, stay, come, leave it, drop it, don't bark, don't pull, don't jump. We're constantly asking them to become better. But when was the last time you simply appreciated the dog you already have? From the tip of their little nose to the bottom of their little toe beans, I appreciate them. I appreciate the way that puppies smell. And I appreciate the way old dogs slow down with age. I appreciate that stretch after they had a long nap, the little circles they draw on the ground before they lay down. And I appreciate that contented sigh that says, "Phew, I am comfy." I appreciate the way they greet us as though we've returned from war after just, like a 10-minute trip to the grocery store. I appreciate the twitching paws when they dream, the little barks in their sleep. Felicity does that. And the running they do in the dreams that we'll never get to see. I really wish I could see what they're dreaming about. I appreciate the way their fur shines after a bath. And honestly, I even appreciate the look of a dog that's worked so hard, they're covered in dirt and water and they stink. There's something beautiful about a dog that looks like they enjoyed being a dog that day. Dogs don't stay with us for very long. 10 years, 12 if we're lucky, 15 if fate is especially kind. Some breeds, like Great Danes, often get even less time than that. And then we spend so many of those years trying to improve them that sometimes we forget to enjoy them. And I think that's heartbreaking. Every now and again, I run into a dog handler team where the handler is so on all the time that the dog just kind of mopes around. It's like, man, this is my life, right? This is my life. It's heartbreaking. One of my favorite things about dogs is how incredibly diverse they are. You've got the Chihuahua, a Great Dane, a Border Collie, the Bloodhound, a Pug, a Greyhound, and they're all one species. Just tiny, tiny changes in the DNA, creating hundreds of completely different expressions of the same animal. We did that. Different faces, different walks, different personalities, different purposes. It's like Nature kept painting with the same brush over and over again. And every painting came out beautiful in its own way. But maybe the greatest thing dogs have ever done is improve us. They get us to go outside. They get us to walk. They make us laugh. They introduce us to strangers who become friends. They encourage us to move our bodies. They remind us to play. They help us to heal. Sometimes they even help us to love again. So here's something I'd like for you to try. Every Friday, practice a little appreciation ritual. Not for something your dog learned this week, not because they finally stopped pulling, and not because their recall improved. Appreciate something they already are. Maybe it's their ears. Maybe it's the little freckles on their nose. Maybe it's the way they lean against your leg. Maybe it's their patience, their courage, their resilience, their silliness. It's so silly. Train your appreciation the same way you train your dog because they just aren't here with us nearly long enough. And because of that, every ordinary Friday is extraordinary when you learn to appreciate your dog before asking them to improve. You stop waiting for the next milestone and you start enjoying the life you've already been building together. Our dogs spend their entire lives trying to convince us that today is enough. Maybe we should believe them, because one day you're going to throw that ball for the last time, and you won't know when it's the last time. So, throw it today, like you mean it.